Hi, Annie here, and I am going to show you how I created this track. Okay, so before building the track, I created scenes using a seed concept that I learned from watching an artist that goes by the name Alice. Link to her channel is going to be in the description. Basically, create some chords for each scene, or ask ChatGPT, I won't tell anyone. Here I have chords for the intro. I have chords for the build-up. For the verse. Breakdown. Verse 2. The drop. Finally, the outro. And for the piano, I used Native Instruments Noir, kick and snare. Find yourself a kick sample. I got mine from a pack by the production school, but you can also try Splice or something. Copy and paste it so it hits at every quarter note. So I didn't do too much to the actual kick sample. I just slapped on a Saturn's 2 and selected the clean tube distortion to make the fundamental pop out. At least I think it does. I mean, I don't really know. And then I also slapped an EQ on it, as you see there. Then you find yourself a snare sample. You can place it on every second and fourth hit. I basically just slapped an EQ, as you will see in almost everything I slap on an EQ. Dipping out 3 dB where I raised that kick. Also, I added a gate so the tail doesn't crowd up the mix and it cuts through. Top loops. I grabbed a closed hat sample, created a driving hat pattern, played with the velocity, placed a shaper box 3 with noise and distortion, also added a vocoder with 12 bands which I automate the dry wet level and also the release time. I will show the automations later. I then grabbed another closed hat, made a groovier top layer to go on top, slapped a little EQ, a rec 2 to automate the cutoff filter, and also a utility to automate the gain and the width. Lastly, open hats. I place them on every offbeat. Again, another EQ, a vocoder, and a shaper box, which I automate the mix level. Then lastly, again, a utility. Now this is how it sounds all together. Perc Loops. I grabbed a white noise sample and just made a little pattern with it basically, and then I slapped on a chorus to widen it, and then also another EQ. Surprise, surprise. I then used the same sample pack and grabbed myself a Perc Loop, and I didn't do too much to this one. I just added in, you guessed it, another EQ. Okay, so before I show you the bird call perks, I want to introduce this plugin called Live. Basically, you can take any sample you already recorded or you got online and create slices, or it creates slices for you. And then you can click this magic button that randomizes everything and creates a little percussion loop. Here is a recording that I sampled from YouTube. Cool thing, once you got your sample, you go ahead and just randomize and then press play. And you just keep doing this until you find something that you like or that fits your track. You can technically use any sound. Here is an example of the white noise that I showed you earlier. Okay, and if you don't know how to get samples, or if you need help getting samples, download this extension for Chrome or Brave browser. As you can see, I recorded a sample. I got this off YouTube, and you can just save it. Now let's get started with one of the sounds. Alright, so I use the Weep Poor Will sound that I got off YouTube, and I just put an Echo Boy, a Double Lock for distortion, a Valhalla reverb, a Pro Q, and then a utility. Next, I grabbed some calls. Those are the calls that I showed you just now. I just kind of like hit it every second and fourth note, kind of like a snare. Added a double lock, a crystallizer, a Valhalla vintage reverb, a Pro Q, and a shaper box that's sidechained to the kick. Now those random sounds you hear on this side are from the crystallizer. I just kind of randomly chose one and I'm like, oh, I like it. So yeah, obviously I slapped the utility at the end to control the width and the gain. Alright, now this one I did use a Life for. It's another Weep or Will sounding. It's the one that I showed you first, and then I just kind of put it into the Live VST, and I just grabbed one that I like. I added a crystallizer, a reverb, a shaper box, and then a Pro Q, and then another shaper box to sidechain it. So you'll find that I'll sidechain a lot of things to the kick. Now for this sample, I did it also on Live. I just added an EQ on this one, dipped out the things I usually dip down on mostly every sound, and then I cut the 160 range. Okay, so the next sound also I did it on Live, and I did the same thing, cut down the usual frequencies where the kick's at, bass and 224. I removed to 160 and then just kept it that way. Now for the last sound, I did the exact same thing, except I didn't remove the 160. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It all depends. And yeah, so that's just how it sounds all together. Filthy bass. So for this, I'm basically just going to show you what I did on Serum. Here is Serum. I'm gonna run through the effects. You can go ahead and just pause the video and look for yourself. This one's called a filthy rolling techno bass. The intention is a relentless decree, stable sub-body for the subfloor, gnashing mids for authority. Here's the MIDI, basically a galloping type of MIDI. Pro Q, a curves equator, it's sidechain to the stab. So each time the stabs come in, it ducks down. And the shaper box. Now next is a respace. So here it is the Serum template. You can go ahead and look at it yourself. I use 2 saw waves and some effects. It's not too fancy. This one's called a love respace. So the intention on this one is a clean coat of love that gets nasty. Here is the MIDI just following the bass chord. So a Pro Q, an equator. This one is sidechained to the rolling bass, and then it's also sidechained to the kick. Now this is it all together. Stab bus. Okay, so now these are stabs that I use for the second half of the song. You can go ahead and take a look at it. This one is called Red Dragon Twin Flame Feet Stab. The intention is to connect to your twin flame's feet. Now, I use a ghost note, so I basically hit the first 2 notes and then ghosted the second one and just copied and paste that so throughout the whole track. And then there's a Pro Q and then a shaper box there. I use a second stab just to have it alternate with each other. You go ahead and look at it right there. That's the Serum template. And this one is actually called Red Dragon Twins Flame Back Talent Scratch Arc. So the intention on this one was scratching my back with her talons. Now, I ghosted the first note and then I hit the second 2 and then ghosted it. So it's the same kind of pattern, just ghosted it at different times. I put a Pro Q and a shaper box on this one. And yeah, so those were the 2 stabs. Pads. Alright, so now this is the first pad. I basically just followed this, the chords for said verse or whatever chords you have for whatever you're doing. So that just basically followed the verse chords. And this one's called the Veil of Eternia. The intention on this one is between shadow and light, stretching, shimmering, and bending to her toes. Now, I'm going to go through the effects. You can go ahead and copy it if you like. I don't really mind. I just simply put a Pro Q and a curve equator. I think this one is ducking to either the kick or it's ducking to the bass. So this pad is called Mantle of Ion. Wraps the battlefield in warm resonance, supporting your chords with depth. There are the effects for you. You can go ahead and see. I do automate a lot, so if you look at the matrix, you get to see what my automations and what my macros are. In this one, I added a Pro Q and a curves equator as well. Now this one was supposed to be a lead, but then I ended up using it as a pad instead because I liked how it sounds. This one is called Severance. The intention is every note is a strike, every resonance is a seal. Block, reflect, and protect. There is the effects for you. You can go ahead and take a look at that. Take a look at the matrix to see what my macros are. And then I use a Pro Q and a curves equator as well. This is it all together. Take note that I do automations on this, so it doesn't always sound consistent, and that's why you hear it kind of moving around with a lot of motion. Okay, now for the last pad, I only use this towards the end of the track. The name is unknown and the intention is unknown, as you see here. Okay, now I used a Pro Q and a Curves equator as well. I didn't do much of anything on this one. It's just a raw oscillator, just two saw type oscillators. Second one is like a saw square oscillator, so you can go ahead and just try that out if you like it. Leads. This one is one of my favorites. So this one's actually called Twin Flame Call. The intention is the flame of summoning, piercing all distance. So in other words, calling forward my twin flame. This is the MIDI I use for it. Here's the effects. I use a Pro Q. Valhalla Vintage Reverb. I only use it to automate it, as you see here, and in a shaper box. Okay, now this is the response to that. So now this one is called Twins Attraction, and the intention on this is the flame of summoning, piercing all distance. So this is essentially the response, calling response to the other one. I use a Pro Q, a Valhalla Vintage Reverb again. As you can see, there's an LFO in there, which I use at the end of this. So it's basically an automated automation that I use to transition. And then I have a shaper box on it as well. This is it all together. Effects. So this is just a sweep that I added. Simple. A riser in which I automated the cutoff filter and added a shaper box. Boom. Just a simple white noise riser. Yet another white noise riser, but this one's a little longer. So this one was like a pan smack, which I reversed and it kind of made it like a sweep. So this one's a little interesting. I have a pack that has crazy sounds in there and I added a whole bunch of effects. The effects will actually be shown here. This sound was also from that pack. I'm gonna put the company name and a link to their packs in the description down below. Now this is like an impact, a deep kick impact. Another impact. This is also an impact, but this is more like a clap and then there's like a delay on each side. Another verb impact. So here I have a downlifter, which is kind of like a white noise type of downlifter. a like knock type of impact with reverb. Here I have another white noise downlifter, and I just added a few things onto it, nothing too fancy. Here I have a siren type of downlifter. I thought it was cool, so I just added it. So this is another downlifter slash impact. It sounds like a door closing, so I thought it was pretty cool. Added it in there, you know. This one I really like because it sounds like a mouth click, and I thought it was sassy, so I went ahead and placed it on there. This one is a slap impact, just delayed as well. So I like to add spooky sounds into all my tracks, so this is one of them, acting as an impact as well. Now these are the cause samples that I showed from earlier, and this one is just kind of like playing as a snare. Another effect. And another impact effect. This one I use as a atmosphere, but it's also an impact. So you can see here, arrangement. Alright, so this is the arrangement. I basically showed you the arrangement in the beginning of the video, from the intro, build up, verse 1. Then I have a little break before the build up, verse 2, a drop, and then the outro. Automation. Now these are the automations that I have. We're gonna start by just viewing them real quick, and then I'll show you a part of the automation. So all these automations are controlling like cutoff filter, reverb, the delay mix level, the chorus mix level. So all those automations, if you look back to the sounds we created and go to the macros section, you'll see what macros are assigned it to what. And that's basically what I'm automating here. And I automate it differently depending on the feel and how I'm going for. And so we're just taking a look at all the automations I have. So automations really do make a difference. And the automations here that you're looking at right now are actually hi-hats automation. So these are the ones that I added for the vocoders, mix level, and also the release time. So it kind of extends the hit, but also makes it sound a little bit more like an open hi-hat at times. So you can mess around with that and have like a different bounce to what you already have. So yeah, I'm just going down quickly here, showing you that I do automate. I also automate the volume on some of these sounds. So sometimes I want to bring down the volume at certain areas, and certain areas I want it to be louder, really emphasize the energy there. So we're going to go ahead and take a listen to just the instruments. Okay, so now this is the plug. I added a LFO tool. Lowered it down in the automation, which sped up the LFO. I also added a reverb, which I increased the mix level as the LFO tool is going down in the automation, but going up in the speed, I guess. But yeah, so there's that reverb there, and then it kind of dies down as it transitions. Okay, so now I am going through the instrument bus automations. What I wanted to show you on these automations are those squares on the right side. Basically what I do is when it goes up, I open the sound up by opening the filter, maybe making it a little brighter. And as it goes down, it sounds a little darker. So it transitions from bright all the way down to dark. And back out to bright again. And back to darkness. Okay, so now this is the drum bus alongside the instrument bus. I'm just showing you the vocoder automation so you can kind of have an idea of what it's doing.